Welcome to a supplementary edition of the Kerfuffle podcast. You're very lucky people. Have got 2 episodes today.
Hello.
And we are joined today by none other than the great Murray Lee. And I don't know what better introduction I can give to Murray than to say that he's had some of the finest people in the property industry work for him in the past.
And you.
And me. Now, Murray, you're based in Golders Green. That's where your agency's based anyway, Dreamview Estates. And you have got a long-established history with the industry. You've been a member of the NAEA for,
1984.
1984, so a long time. I was only 4 years old then. That made you feel a bit older, right? And Murray is extremely active, both in supporting his local communities. Now he's going to tell us a little bit about what he's been doing, but he's also been supporting the industry. So Murray is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, a phrase that Chris Watkins cannot say properly.
Yeah. So are we better than him now just because you can?
He actually didn't use the right frame. It's 4 horsemen of the portal apocalypse.
The portal
apocalypse.
That's what causes the problem.
Portal apocalypse. There you are, easy.
So just as a quick background for anybody that's been living under a rock for the past 7 weeks, this action sort of sprang after Rightmove's rather derisory offer to the agents, and there were 4 main parties that were involved in trying to galvanize industry support to put pressure on Rightmove.
Come in 1 second. There was a pre-group before the group. I'm in northwest London, where David learned his trade from me at Kings's Estates. Get an advert in for them. And there are the market in northwest London is very, very different to any. Well, I don't know, but a lot of other. We all know each other. We all may not like each other face to face, but we all get on with each other. And the answer is we look each other in the eyes when we stab each other in the back. They're all going to canvass your properties. They're all going to phone your vendors and so on and so forth. But there is a group of understanding. I very, very lucky, and I'm sorry I have to explain this, but it's quite important, have a relationship virtually with every single agent in the close proximity in northwest London, which includes Golders Green, Hendon, Finchley, Hampstead. They all know who I am, and without blowing my own trumpet, even the famous Glentree Estates, who you may or may not have heard of.
Yeah, very, very famous. Top end, yeah.
Trevor Abramson.
Yeah.
Who's speaking to Chris on Monday, as far as I know. They've coined the phrase, I'm the godfather of Golders Green, and that's in a nice way. You can ask any surveyor or valuer who to go to get a valuation. They'll come to me. Enough about me. One cloudy Wednesday morning, I think it was March the 16th, maybe, when Alan Golding called me and said, what the hell are we going to do? I'm just about to lock the key in my office and say goodbye to my business. We didn't know about 0 rates. We didn't know about government grants. And all we knew is we were paying £1,600 a month to Rightmove and £700 a month to Zoopla if we had the basic package. So I just got to stand up to show the Zoopla T-shirt that I've got once before. And Alan said...
Expensive T-shirt, that.
Thank you. What are we going to do? I'm sorry this goes on a bit, and I'll let you come back in a second. And Alan said, there's a Yiddish word coming in now. Maybe we should put a little sign up. You're a maven. What's a maven? You're a busybody. You know everybody. Speak to all the agents. You'll get them on board. Let's say we're going to come off Rightmove. Well, there are about 15 or 20 close. Yes, David? Something like that between my end of Golders Green and Brent Street, the other end of Hendon?
Yeah.
So let's just say. So I managed to contact a dozen of them. That was the day before the 275 referral came out. Alan got hold of the CEO, Peter Johnson, Thompson, Bronson, whatever his name is, all the double barrel bits. He had that conversation with him, how bad it was. Then he came back with the 75%. So I have to give Alan some credit, even though he's not here with us, because I believe Alan was the catalyst. Back to you.
Okay, so obviously Chris Watkins had you on his show, and you all gave your different views, and I think I've been part of the various different forums and watching the messages that are going backwards and forwards, and this is an extremely it's a hot topic which agents are extremely passionate about, and they are passionate about it for all sorts of reasons. Some may say the wrong reasons and some may say the right reasons. So I, for one, feel that Rightmove is one of our principal sources of buyer leads. I am not particularly impressed with the way that Rightmove have handled us as customers. We don't have a relationship worth anything particularly. But that, I don't wake up every morning going, Rightmove's so expensive, that's why Rightmove has got to go. I would much rather have a relationship where I feel that Rightmove are on my side, wanting me to win, and supporting me and the industry that feeds it so well. And I suppose the fact that they do make such a highly publicized profit margin, that's their own business. I get that, and I don't begrudge them that. But when you do look at the figures, you think, gosh, for all that money you're making, you could at least show a little bit more support to the industry. Absolutely. And I suppose that is my main bone of contention. Some agents, though, are a bit more extreme. Some agents want to see it go. They begrudge them every penny of that profit. The anti-business police are out in force at the moment, wanting everybody to go under just to support their own businesses. So, Murray, I see you as one of the more sort of level-headed moderates in out of the four.
It says he's the man that was wearing a Dreamview face marks when we started. Level-headed, very level-headed. Yes, go on. Let me just come in on one small point. The bit I just told you was our area, and then it expanded into the 4 groups that you now know about. That's Boycott Rightmove on Facebook, Revolution 2020. Boycott is Paul Davis and Imran Malik Khan, David Thomas of Boycott, and of course the famous Rob Sargent of the Acorn Group and Say No. I didn't know of any of those at all when we first started. My email list grew very suddenly from the Alan Golding conversation to a few emails to a negotiator article about the statistics, and the timing couldn't have been better, of what Rightmove do for loads of the graphs, and David will back me up here, Simon. They love to come in every year with their laptop, flip it open, take an hour of your time that you're never going to get back again, show you lots of pretty pie charts. I'd rather have a shepherd's pie, to be honest with you. It's meaningless. And by the way, your rate's going to go up. So from that, Rob was on Say No to Rightmove. He don't want anything to do with them. You're quite right. My view is very, very level-headed. They are a source of leads. In my particular office, they're not the biggest source of leads. I think it's very balanced, and let's give them a name. The Zoopla Property Group, I won't do that every time, and On the Market. On the Market, bless them, had the model that we are looking for now, but shot themselves in the foot at the start by suggesting you should come off one of the main protagonists. All the mugs, that chose to do that are now suffering the consequences. I don't want to name names, but they're into thousands of pounds worth of litigation with On the Market, because some of them jump back on without permission and are still paying and don't want to pay. Different conversation. My view with Rightmove is exactly what David said. I don't get up in the morning thinking about Rightmove. I get up in the morning thinking, what am I going to sell? What am I going to let? Where's the next commission coming from? Rightmove are a tool. It might as well be this, a pen, because I get the same out of it as I do out of Rightmove. They bring in inquiries. Zoopla bring inquiries. On the Market bring inquiries. And by the way, and maybe we should touch on this shortly, because we started to talk a bit earlier, Simon, about prop tech. I've been contacting, I've got a list, I think I sent it to you, David, and it's
yes,
growing.
You did. It's
over 25 new names of portals that want to open up. And I'm going to say it because I've said it to their faces. And there's one thing you'll learn about me is what I say here is what I say behind my back and in front of my back. I am straight as the die is, whatever the words are, or the day is long. People will tell you they'll deal with me because I'm Mr. Honest. Is that fair, David?
I think that's fair.
In the area that we deal in, sometimes you have to count your fingers when you shake your hands. Not with estate agents, with your clients as well. Trust me.
That's a glowing endorsement for North London right there.
I've lost my train of thought for a second. Where was I? Oh, yes, the 20. I've had some amazing names. And actually, Simon, you're even supporting one of them with what you're wearing. Why am I saying that? Lovely gentleman called Silas J. Lees. Great name for someone in properties. Not the surname, the whole name. Has a website called WiggyWam. I'll let it hang there for a moment. And yesterday I was contacted by, I'm saying this right, Yanups.
Yanups.
Y-A-N-N-U-P-S. And I asked them both, and Silas is all pink, which is very pretty on you, and you should go and have a word with him because he'll use you as an emblem, I'm sure. Plus his little
A few
son.
people have.
What?
A few people have, without my permission.
It's a pretty website, a portal, and it's got lots of bells and whistles, and it's not a secret because it's out there. He's on Twitter at the moment. He's pushing it. Bless him. I've told him what I think, and I don't think it's the right name, along with his cartoons. And maybe I should leave that there and let you go and have a look at them because they are fun to look at.
We will check that out. But so it's a fair comment, though, that for years, Rightmove had us as agents firmly by the Yanups. And there was nothing that we could do.
We could have done.
Aha. Now, this is the key thing.
Correct.
It's communication and collaboration.
Correct.
And this is the key difference. It took something
apocalyptic,
but it took absolute dire straits to bring everybody together, because all of a sudden, when the chips were down, we all decided that it meant something to us. And I initially, it was quite low tech. It was an email stream, wasn't it, that just kept growing and growing?
Actually, no. Sorry. When did you work at Kingsley? Can you remember?
I can. I worked there 2005.
Okay, so they were already established. Before that, there was a website, a portal called Est8, exactly as you see it, EST8. It was a Norwegian-based portal. Never heard of portals before. The tech side was done by a chap called Magnus Magnusson, I swear not, and he owns now a hotel in France, which has left my mind with a golf course, and I should remember it. He set up the first property portal, and he actually did Kingsley's website, and if I'm not mistaken, the design of it today is still the same as it was then. Bless them, they haven't exactly moved. Their telephone number on their window says 0181.
Okay.
So
Time has moved on.
Rightmove bought them out, and then they were free for a while. And then you came along, and they were already charging by then. And that's when we should have said, whoa! But we didn't.
Okay, but and so the beast grew, as it were, and it got out of control. Do you remember a day when Rightmove used to come and see you as a customer right at the beginning, and they were looking to woo you? Did they treat you differently?
Yeah, I had hair then.
Okay.
Yeah, of course they did, because they'd taken over Estate. They had these great auditoriums full of people like me. We were all invited along to see the revolution of what was going to change. And it was, Miles Shipside was there then, and he spoke on the stage with his board behind him and all the figures. Not so clever as it is today, because the tech world wasn't what it is today. It might have even been writing for all I know. And this was the way forward. I remember coming in one day, all the pictures had been taken out the windows, and there they were on the screen in front of me. And I said, who's going to look at properties on an internet? Never heard of it. But that was what they did. And they danced to our tune. They loved us up, you know, lots of freebies, lots of things. And for quite a few years, it was free. Dangling the carrot.
Yeah. And all of a sudden it became a PLC, and life as we knew it changed forever. Absolutely. And I think that the portal space had become occupied by sort of rather big corporations that weren't necessarily capable of relating to certainly smaller independent agents. I think if you were larger corporate branches or franchises, I think you always used to benefit from a little bit more TLC, corporate hospitality.
Sorry?
Shareholders as well, weren't they, for a long time?
Say that again?
They were shareholders for a long time, yeah. So, and obviously that whole dynamic has changed. So that brings us up to date to where we are today. So just to, and correct me if I'm wrong, but Rightmove came out with their rather derisory offer, which was to defer a small portion of our monthly fees. We'd need to pay it back. Not only that, we would have to prove to them that we were capable of paying it back after being
they asked to see your pipeline of sales.
Correct. And if not, proof of funds. So they want to see your bank account instead, which we as customers who've been paying on the nose every month for years, I mean, 10 years that I know of in my current business, and it goes on beyond that. all of a sudden to turn around to those customers and say, hey guys, we need you to prove that you're good for it, I think was the ultimate slap in the face, regardless of how bad or good the offer was. And then all the murmurs started to break out across the internet. The message spread very quickly.
Do you remember Gerald Ratner?
I do, yeah.
Yes, Simon, yes.
One of Simon's business heroes.
Aha. Well, not when he shot himself in the foot and said about the people that bought in his store. Rightmove did exactly the same thing. And I know we're jumping forward a bit. They've gone and done it at least 3 more times since this all took off. But we'll come back to that, I'm sure. That was their Ratner moment.
It was well and truly. If I were in charge of their PR department, I would have called everybody in and I would have said to them, hey guys, we've got a major problem here. We need to react quickly. We need to be extremely magnanimous, and we need to hold our hands up and say, we made a big mistake. We're sorry.
So I need to add a piece of the jigsaw in there.
Go on.
Alan Goldin
yep.
owned Peter Brooks Johnson. Have I got that right? I think it is.
Yep.
Back again the next day. And I wasn't party to the conversation, but I know what Alan told me afterwards. And he tore him off a strip. He said, what you've just done is derisory. You used the words. You need to rethink that quickly, because you've now stirred a honeypot, and you're going to get more people than our small band of merry men talking about leaving. Murray has already got dozens more. It doesn't matter the numbers. And whether he said it or not, I will never know. I'll have to ask him face to face. You need to give us a discount of between 50 and 75%. And that's what happened the next day. Now, maybe Rob Sargent was talking to them. I'm pretty sure Paul and David weren't, because they came into the picture afterwards. There may have been others. We don't know. We've not heard from anybody else that wants to jump into our swimming pool. But Rob, I'm sure, was and does speak to them very, very regularly. But definitely Alan spoke to them, and sure enough, the next day, bing bong, 75% dropped on Alan.
Now Rob is slightly different from you in as much as that in his own right, they've got quite a few branches, haven't they? So their monthly bill is 35.
This isn't me blowing smoke up his backside, but I've spoken to him. We've got a lot in common. He also uses Zoopla, and he plays golf, and he's a very, very, very nice man. And he's been given a lot of flack about the agenda on the market. And in fact, myself this morning, I saw a promo ad he did for them. I don't know how long ago it was, but his hair was much neater than it is now. And he's getting accused of pushing people from Rightmove to on the market. That's, as far as I'm concerned, sitting in exactly the same place as I do when I speak to him every other couple of days. That's not his agenda. If that's what happens, he'll be very happy. He's a shareholder. And by the way, so is Trevor Abramson, who's going to be speaking on Monday, an original gold shareholder of On the Market, who put Ian Pigott into
Springett.
Ian Springett, sorry.
That's it.
Andrew Pigott is another website, and there's another anyway. So Rob has his own ideas. We all do, and we'll come back to that in a second, because the 4 of us have got 4 slightly different ideas. But Rob's genre was say no to Rightmove. And in fact, he'd come off completely, from what I understand, if he had the choice. And I'm not allowed to tell you the numbers, but I'm sure if you ask him, he'll tell you. Let's say he saved lots of zeros when that 75% changed.
Right. Okay. And so to most of us who were not expecting a 75% decrease in the first place, to get 75, if that would have been their opening offer, we would have gone, hey, Rightmove have done something fantastic. I wouldn't be sitting here
talking to you.
Now, it would have saved you all a lot of time, I'm presuming.
Absolutely. My time is absolutely swamped. Never mind, we'll come back to that in a minute with all I'm doing outside of agency. This, with the promotion and the Rightmove and the emails and the Zoopla, because we had a conversation with Andrew Marshall as well, which needs to come into the conversation, has taken up more time. And you made a point, David, early on. God, this terrible virus has murdered so many people, 33,000 now that we know of, and that doesn't count those that are not in hospitals. And unfortunately, it's become the fortunate reason as to why we're here. If we'd have gone back to work the next day after March the 16th and Alan opened his office, we'd have gone in, sent the direct debit to Rightmove and not given 2 shakes of a monkey's tail about it. That coronavirus caused the catalyst for this to happen.
It was incredibly short-sighted, wasn't it, to force agents into the corner when they had nothing to lose, essentially.
Yeah, agreed. A lot of them, Simon, and you know David too, have come off. I think Rob's saying something like 1,500 agents, 3,000 branches. And Christian, you've spoken to him, haven't you, Christian?
Yeah, Christian's a good friend of ours, yeah.
Yeah, I know him quite well through Charlie Wright, who runs Easy Match. You probably know him. That's how I met him. Charlie Wright set up Celia a couple of years ago. Sadly, I think that was ahead of its time. If that had been available now, we'd have had that bandwagon to jump on, because the Guild of Property Professionals and Property Mark, or NAEA, have done sod all for us professionals who pay their money to be our guild or our bond.
Right. I want to talk to you about that, because you are a long-standing. Weren't you sort of president of the local chapter of NAEA?
Before the National Association, there was the Barnet Association of Estate Agents. I'm going to name some names because they deserve naming. There was Mike Summerskill of Howard and Manning. He's still with us, I think. There was Cyril Lerner, sadly passed away last year, and his son Stephen Lerner, who wasn't a member yet, also sadly passed away, of Colwick Lerner. There was Bob Weston and Roy Sloan of Seymour's, and Chap Gwynn, somebody of Johnston Evans, who used to be in Hendon Central. That was in the days when estate agency was a profession, when my mum would have said, go and be an estate agent, young man. It's almost like being a solicitor or an accountant. Well, not anymore, unfortunately. And those days we had the Barnet Association of Estate Agents, and I became chairman eventually. I joined early on. There wasn't a national association. And of course, naturally, when the National Association changed, well, actually two things happened. Besto Thieves, as I'm sorry I like to call them, opened up at 102 Brent Street, Hendon, and their telephone number is 0208 202 2115. I happen to know that off by heart. And they started door knocking, canvassing, knocking on doors. That's when estate agency changed completely. That's when the Barnet Association lost control and the National Association came into being. Maybe a bit earlier.
And that's sort of, I think for people of your kind of generation, if you don't mind me saying so, it's when the estate agency industry stopped acting like gentlemen in terms of the gentlemen's agreements that used to be in place, and we started being a bit more cutthroat, and we sort of became the stereotype that the public now hold of estate agents.
We weren't like that before. And Simon, I made him laugh before. I like to look the guys in the eyes when they stab me in the back.
Yeah. I remember when I first sold the repick software, and there was a fantastic little tool in there for touting, or prospecting as I call it. And I remember one of the early days I got chased out of an office because it was a very old school. It says, we don't do touting here, please leave the office. Never made that mistake ever again.
Can I tell you, I'll hold my hand up over the Bible, call this the Bible because it's Dreamview Estates is the Bible of Golders Green. I have never consciously touted another estate agent's property. Absolutely categorically. I may have done a blanket canvas to a road occasionally, and I don't do canvassing now. Maybe when I was at Kings's, I don't think I've done any canvassing at Dreamview. I will never categorically canvass, whether I deal with them properly or not, and I do deal with most of them, never, ever, ever. That genre left the business in those days. It might come back. We'll see.
So let me come to Property Mark, because I'm going to tell you what happened to me after you and I parted ways at Kingsley. So I went back to Manchester, and I ended up where I am today at Normie and Company. And when I arrived there, when we bought the business off Jeffrey, who was the original owner, he was a member of the NAEA, and we changed the directorship to reflect the new ownership. And we got a letter through the post saying, look, guys, we're going to have to kick you out of the association because one of your directors needs to be a member of the NAEA. And I'll never forget that we got that letter at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. At 4 o'clock, I was on my way into town to take the exams. So we managed to get it back on track. But being sort of first-hand a member of the NAEA gave me an opportunity to see what it was that they were offering to their members and the support. And I'm going to be honest with you, at that time, and I know it's trying to change, but at that time, it offered, the only support that it offered was really the ability for me as a member to turn around to my customers and say, hey, look, I'm a member of the NAEA, I'm all right. And it gave me a little bit of credibility, and it was worth paying for. However, I'm going to tell you what happened then.
Let's just come in very quickly here.
Yeah.
You'll like a bit of humour for you, Simon. I've always got a joke. So I was a member of the NAEA. My name is Murray Lee, LEE. And on my cards, you have M.A. Lee, FNAEA, and now, of course, it says Marla. Someone rang up and said, is Mr. Leafnier there, please?
So when I joined, I think I had a query, a legal query as regards a contract or something, and the NAEA at the time had a sort of a legal helpline where you could call them, and they would, you were then at the time diverted to sort of, you could send in your request via email, and they would email you back one paragraph.
Yeah.
But no more, because it was offered by a legal company. We're doing this. And so my issue was this. If you've got an organization and you're paying them all this money every year, am I doing it because it gives my clients comfort, or am I doing it because it gives me as a member support? And I felt that it gave me one and not the other.
Which one?
It only gave my clients the comfort that they needed. And ultimately, once clients' money protection became available elsewhere, that then wasn't a concern anymore, because really that was the guarantee that most of our lettings clients were looking for. My issue, and I've spoken about this on our show many times, is that the industry really needs some strong voices to speak out for it.
Absolutely.
Not just to say, look, these are the professional standards that we all feel that we should be adhering to. This is what benefits our customers as members of the public, but also in terms of legislative changes, putting pressure on Westminster to do the right thing, because God knows we don't get consulted enough before they make those major decisions.
Sorry, just to break in, they consulted the group of agents about opening up again. You know, last week when they came out with how we're going to do it, people got to stand in the garden and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Didn't all the burglars read that and say, right, we'll go and look for houses now, we'll meet the agent of the property, the owners go in the garden and we'll nick all the silverware. There's a good idea. I mean, they didn't consult me, and I've been at this, there's that word again, 47 years. I don't think there are many in the residential market that have done it as long as me. Sorry.
So when you look at that, Murray, considering that we feel as agents disconnected, and somebody who's got a lifelong association with that association, I would be coming to you and saying, hey, Murray, we need your support. We want your advice. You've forgotten more than we'll ever learn. Please, will you give us your view? But the point is this: when it comes to suppliers that are verging on the point of going rogue to the point that the agents are suffering, the NAEA and Property Mark as well could have stepped in and said, hey guys, look, we represent X many thousand of agents. This is major. We need your support now. Where are they?
Zip Zap Zanada. I put it on a Facebook page the other day that they are the guild for the body for the more and most professional estate agents in the business. There are still few of those that aren't. And you've got the Guild of Property Professionals, which is a marketing tool as far as, we're not members. No one's ever asked me to be, but that's because Morelands are, and they're the only ones in my area. But even they could have come out and said, neither body, and I don't think there are any other bodies. Forget RICS, because that really doesn't consider residential estate agents unless they have both things together. Yeah. Property Mark, as they spent all that money, and there's another name. I mean, what does that tell you? That tells you nothing. NAEA was better, in my view, than that. Okay, if they wanted to merge the two, put all the letters after each other. Oh, you heard someone called Mr. Leafnier. We'll go with NAEA Yala. It doesn't matter. Property Professionals would have been better than Property Mark. I mean, what does it mean? However, we're down here and they're up there. I have been asked to join the board many a time. Simon Gerrard, Martin Gerrard Group of Companies.
Yeah, Simon well.
Yeah, he became chairman a few years ago, and oddly very quiet about all this, I have to say, with all the officers he's got. I did try and reel him in, and he said he wasn't interested. He was going to do his own thing, which is fair enough.
Laurie, sorry, just on that point, do you think that is because, and I'm not talking about this with Simon, but it is, I think it's well known that what Rightmove does spectacularly well is adopt some of the best tactics that the British Empire did, aka divide and conquer.
Yes.
Very, very adept at, and you know, obviously avoiding this collective negotiation point, which obviously puts the strength back with obviously the agents, and they have been good at saying, you know, going to the larger groups and saying, look, we're going to need you to sign up, but you've got to sign this, and there are privacy clauses. We at least know that, and then that to a large degree puts a market leader, at least in terms of listings, out of the picture, and then the other ones really have to follow suit, don't they, to a degree, because you can't have just one agent on Rightmove while the others aren't.
And that's where we're going to go with the conversation. I don't know, but that is the biggest problem of this movement now. Say no to Rightmove is all well and good, but if David says no and I say no and you say yes in the same high street, we're going to have to confront a problem. Because
were you aware of the when on the market first launched, there was a lot of talk about people, you know, because there was the exclusivity, there was a lot of talk about people saying, okay, we're going to come off Rightmove, and but actually that didn't happen, did it? The people whose shirt you're wearing were the main losers with 3 to 4.
Yes. I see what you mean.
Now, apart from over in South Wales, where, to be fair, there weren't many corporate agents, so that was one of the key ingredients. But people like FBM Dawson's, I think Magini James, they all got together and agreed that they were coming off Rightmove, and they did a deal, a communal deal with ZPG.
Right. And
my understanding, knowing those businesses quite well, was they didn't suffer in the least. You know, there was concerns about, you know, as everyone would, God, how long is it going to take the public to find me? But for a long period of time, and first of all, it didn't take them even 48 hours, the guy said. The public, you know, deviated very quickly. Now, I say that out loud, and it was always a mystery to me as to why the on-the-market people were not able to replicate and enlarge that group out from there, because therein lies the opportunity, doesn't it? If you're going to do it, it has to be in pockets. It can't be individuals sporadically all over the place.
I agree with you entirely, totally. All the voices are saying, what if John Smith doesn't come off Rightmove, then what? And I'm standing on my soapbox saying, it's time you went back to being an estate agent. We fell into the trap, and we didn't talk about it, David, of being portal pushers, if that's the right word. Yeah. In other words, type, stick it on Rightmove, sit back, somebody will phone. Type, stick it on Zoopla, stick it on the market, somebody will phone. You didn't have to do anything. I may have become guilty of it myself, because unfortunately my stock answer at the moment is, to my clients now, what can you do with selling my property? Well, the portals aren't bringing anybody, so what else can we do?
Ironically there, Murray, you mentioned stock answer, and it is about stock, isn't it? I don't know if you know Adam Walker, the well-known trainer, and he does a lot of mergers and acquisitions at the moment. But I remember a training session where he likened what was happening with, to be fair, all the portals. In the old days, you used to have your brochures, didn't you? You like this. You controlled the stock, and it was up to you to obviously do that. And what he said, it was like the portals was like throwing those brochures out into the street and allowing everyone self-service. And at that moment, your control and ability to influence diminished massively.
Absolutely. I think we said it early on. We let them take control. Yeah. It was, Easy Match came into me, and they showed me, because remember, we used to have to put one onto Rightmove, one onto Zoopla. I can't even remember. There were other portals at the time individually. Do you remember, David?
Yeah.
And that took time. It was revolutionary. I mean, you put it, and there it was in front of you on the screen. Well, wow. I mean, that's amazing. And then you could check it and tinker with it and put it back up there. It wasn't as instant I don't mean not in the technical point of the term, as the world is now. Because there wasn't WhatsApp, and there wasn't Facebook, and there wasn't email. Well, maybe there was email. I don't remember. It wasn't so instant. So even if you put it out there, you still have to pick up the phone and go, Mrs. Whale, I've got this lovely house for you to see. You can see it on the internet. The inter what? So that's what changed slightly, and that's where the problem came from. That we went back to tap, and then tech people. Sorry, that's my alarm going off. The tech people came along and said, look, what we can do for you. You can put it on Rightmove, put it on Zoopla, put it on this one, put it on this one. Oh, I can sit back even more now. I used to offer properties out, Simon. I sat in an office in Edgebury Lane in 1973 with a lady called Lottie Sadick, her company, her sons ran Alan Sadick and Company.
Yes.
Unfortunately, have the name on their website, if you look closely, alanzadick.com.
Very famous in Edgware.
Yes, and we used to sit there, and I swear to you, hello, we've got a house for sale. Please send me the details. Writing out an envelope, got the address on a card, not on an internet, stick a stamp on it, fold it down, put it in the post. And then you'd phone up a couple of days later. Lottie was a machine. She picked up that phone, and she was about 99 by the time I left there in 1973. She passed away, sadly. She picked up that phone 9 o'clock that morning, and the telephone number was 028 958 5626. And she was on the phone to the extent that buyers used to phone up and say, "Is Lottie in the office? Don't tell her I'm on the phone. That house you've got in Walmer Gardens, I'd like to see it." She was having them buying it before they'd even got out their own front door. That's estate agency, not what we do today. In the whole book of genre, however good I think I am, however good I know David is, however good the great suited guy, who for some reason none of them wear ties anymore. That I don't get either. Don't get that at all. The suited and booted, you know what we look like with our clipboards and our phones and our measuring sticks. They are not estate agents. This is estate agency here. This is passion. You give me your property to sell, and I'll be on the phone to Simon and to David, and I'll tell them that's the property you've got to buy. And going back to what I said a few minutes ago, when you shake my hand, you have an extra finger left. You don't have four.
Murray, you spoke about obviously the explosion of portals, and I've, over the years, as one of my jobs at Repeat, I had obviously all of the portals approaching us to get feeds. And every single week, without fail, we would have somebody coming along proclaiming to be the next Rightmove, albeit they had no money to actually, power themselves. And obviously, every one of those, by definition, has fallen by the wayside.
Yeah.
And that was without, 10 years, 15 years of the agents building up Rightmove, promoting them, and it's now obviously actually in the public's mind. You Rightmove for property like you Google for everything else. Yeah. So what does a contender to Rightmove need these days?
It needs to have the presence that Rightmove have got, which Zoopla have managed to do and on the market tried very well. Rightmove's best advertising was when Ian Wright advertised for them, remember?
Yeah, I remember.
That was classic, and I think that got them on the map, if you don't mind me saying so. It was perfect, wasn't it? Ian Wright uses Rightmove, perfect. The money they must spend, that the others have to spend, and Zoopla probably come close and on the market try, and they're on their coattails, is what the next one's going to do. And I'm going to hold up the phone because I need to show you. Probably can't now, you can't see it. These are the names. Look at them. It's like London Palladium, when the scrolls used to go through at the end of a Sunday night show. How are they all going to spend that money to do that? And at the moment, a lot of them are coming at me free or nearly nothing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's fair to say which one's which, but whatever they are, they're none of them more than £100. None of them more than 100. So in answer to your question is I don't think they can. And
that therein lies the reason why actually a sensible agreement with Rightmove is for most people is the right option, isn't it? Or is the desired outcome of all this?
I've just got to text my colleague in the office. The answer is our alarm's going off. Would you?
We'll let you deal with that.
Right.
Simon, I did promise you this guy is as old school as it comes, right?
Yeah.
He remembers every telephone number. He remembers the date, who worked where.
Yeah. Did he got on well with our old governor at Repeat, George Steed? You didn't know George Steed, did you, Murray?
No, I didn't actually, unfortunately.
He was West London. He was West London. He had George Steed Estates over there. Which,
Murray, who do you use for CRM?
Easy Match.
Right, okay.
Charlie's one, yeah.
Charlie's boys, yeah. I've known Charlie a long time. Well, they came in to me, the lovely Anne-Marie Proudfoot, who today still gets my eyes fluttering when she comes in. Came in with Easy. Well, it wasn't called Easy. It was called The Business in those days.
Yeah.
Right? And it was revolutionary. Was it free? Yeah, I think it was then as well. And it wasn't till after I left Kingsley's, which would have been 2012, maybe before that perhaps, that we were paying. But that was the nirvana, wasn't it? All that, type it all in, all the bells and whistles and how you can do this with this and this with that. But let's come back to your question. of how can I, and it's going to be very, very tough. And excuse me for being stupid, why are they spending all this money, these 25, 30 names, to do what? Now, we all know what it's all about. You better than me. Data, correct?
Yeah.
That's what most of you guys are.
So basically what you're coming back to is that the belief is, and I think this is what agents fail to realize, that if you want something for free or next to free, these guys are not going to have the budget to get it in front of members of the public on the same level as Rightmove.
100%.
David, sorry, it's not even about just Rightmove, is it? It's not like On the Market hasn't spent money. I mean, On the Market has had and what they are coming up against is they realise that you can't speed recognition in the way that Rightmove to the public.
We were very lucky. Yeah. Let's go back a little bit to why you're interviewing me, really, because as I said to you, if the virus hadn't come along, I wouldn't be sitting here. We got together as the four horsemen without knowing that. Sorry, I put that in the boat. There was Paul Davis and Imran, who set up boycotts to Rightmove. Yep. David Thomas, Revolution 2020, and Rob. I gathered the heads. We chatted 3 or 4 weeks ago. We were all like-minded. Interestingly, we're not all totally like-minded. Let's start with Rob, and I think I know what he wants, and that is to reduce his fees, or possibly, if I'm not mistaken, actually come off Rightmove completely. He said that to me openly and privately as well. Yeah. He probably, and I'd like him to be here to debate, would use On the Market because the tool is there already, and I don't think he has a problem with Zoopla. David, out the portal market completely. Totally out, absolutely out the way. He was interested originally in my initials. MLS. ML, right. Murray Lee.
The American system.
Multi-listing system.
Yeah.
Which a chap called Trevor Meelam set up.
Trevor.
7 or 8 years ago. And going back to what I said to you beforehand, and I sound like I'm rattling on here, that we don't need a lot of help in agency trying to share properties in Golders Green. We worked with each other. I came old school from Bob Weston, oh bless he's passed away, and Roy Sloan, who said, share a property on half com. If you get a half com share, it's better than half a loaf because you haven't had to pay anything to get the half com. Many agents don't know that or don't do that. So I didn't have the need of an MLS in our area. I could pick up the phone to David, who was across the road. David, can we do a half com on 1, 2, 3 Golders Green? Sure, half com, no problem. The MLS system 7 years ago was, again, maybe ahead of its time. That's David, and he's pushing that point. And he quite likes the page called Open Bricks, I think it's called.
Yeah.
Something called blockchain advertising. And they told me, and he went, zhush.
Well, me too, and I'm supposed to be in PropTech.
If there was a plane, it would have gone straight over. I would have got Charlie Wright in his little plane to fly straight over my head. By the way, I've been in his plane, and I've beaten him at go-karting. I hope he watches this. And then Paul is a bit more like-minded like me, and I'm coming to what I want. He believes, like David started, is courtesy and fair subscription. I think he would leave as well, because let's face it, I'm not frightened of telling you the numbers. I was paying £1,600 or £1,668 to Rightmove. Yeah. I opened that envelope the first day. I felt a warm glow in me pulling. Wrong word. £417, Simon. £417 to pay Rightmove. Yes, thank you. I'll have some of that. And of course, by then, and we've missed this part, the T-shirt, we'd gone on and had a chat with the 4 guys I mentioned originally, and which was Alan Goldin, Philip Wise from Ashmore's, and Richard Gangor from Houseman Homes, with Andrew Marshall of Zoopla. And we spoke to Andrew before, well, they did the 9 months. Do you remember that?
They did. Yes. They did. Yeah, but you got us a better deal.
I think we did. Not everybody agrees, and Simon knows about the 9 months, I'm sure. Come off, do an OTM, come off Rightmove, and we'll give you 9 months for free. Yeah, that sounds great. Whoa. No, it doesn't, because you're off Rightmove before you know it, and a lot of them have come off Rightmove already. But with long chats over a long weekend with Andrew, bless him, he spoke to us Saturday and Sunday before lockdown. Can't remember. During lockdown, I can't remember. It was whenever it was, very early on. We had one of these conversations. I never had one of these before. It was great fun to see what Alan Goldin looks like at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. Not very pleasant thought. And we went back to Andrew and said, we're not coming off Rightmove. You've got to do better. And at first they had 3 months, and you had to sign up for 13 to 36 months. No thanks, don't want that. How can we tell you what we're doing in the 12 months time? Never mind 13, 36. He went away and he came back with the 5-month offer. and we talked about it, and we agreed 5 months for free, when we're not getting any business at all. And I'm not, because I'm wearing the T-shirt, this was a joke, you know that, seriously. I don't have my hand in any particular camp. Free was a bug, and at the end of 12 months, fixed on the rate that you're at now, or better than that for Philip, and he won't mind me telling you so. Philip was on a platinum package paying £1,300 a month, plus £1,600 of Rightmove. He could drop his package back to mine, which was $690 inclusive of that, and stay on that for another year with a guaranteed only RPI interest. So this is customer titivating, whatever the right word might be, keeping the customer satisfied. And he then said after that, if you then decide to leave Rightmove, and this wasn't publicised straight away, we'll give you another 4 months free. Did you know that?
It came out eventually, yeah.
He asked us not to promote it, because once we got that deal agreed, I jumped on it and said, he sent me an email, I've got the email somewhere, and sent it out to now what was 300 or 400 people on my mailing list. We'd set up a state agency union group by then and passed the word out, but he did tell us not to mention the 4 months formally, because he was frightened it might get put down as some sort of business attack on Rightmove. It's out there now. And anybody who asks me, and I'll now my whatever to the mast, stay with Rightmove if we're £400, £500, all right, it might be a bit more. Stay with Rightmove if they're a bit more courteous, probably unlikely. Stick with Zoopla because £700 a month is achievable, fixed for a year, RPI, and if I come off Rightmove, I've got another 4 months free, and I'm still with On the Market. And I pay a reasonable fee. I wasn't a gold member, not paying the $4.99. I've got the mates rates.
Without wanting to shoot myself in the foot, and I know that my Zoopla rep doesn't watch this show because otherwise he'd call me a bit more. And my Rightmove rep, I don't think he
I don't think they exist.
I've got one because I know, because I've done my back in throwing him out of the office once.
They're like they're cardboard cutouts, aren't
they? That cardboard cutout is more used than a Rightmove rep, let me tell you. But I forgot what I was going to say now. No, but I may be shooting myself in the foot, but there is, you must be aware of this. There's a loading, isn't there, on a London agent's fees as opposed to...
Talked about this. I phoned you up once and asked you this question because you're the only agent I really know outside that sort of area. Yeah. And I asked you, and I think you're about 2/3 of what we pay. Or?
Yeah, approximately. And again, that is a story all over the rest of England, which again...
And with Zoopla too.
Yeah. And you know, to me, your overheads should be higher than mine because, yes, you've got more rent to pay. You've got higher rates to pay. It costs you to go and do a viewing in as much as moving your car around London these days is not a cheap thing, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So there are, whether or not that is fair, it can be
It
debated.
can't be fair. I'm sorry, and we talked about this a minute ago when I first was uploading on CRMs. We all do the same thing. Type, put the details in, put the pictures on, boom, it goes up to that. What do they do?
And that's the point. When it comes to prop tech, the beauty of it is the cost to provide that prop tech to any user is approximately the same, isn't it, Simon?
Yeah. Is it, Simon? Yeah.
Doesn't matter where location.
No, the only time that there's costs go up, obviously, if there's associated services like training, account management, and all the normal stuff. So you know, the whole point of prop tech is that, you know, you can ostensibly cash cow it once you build a machine that the technology is there to be repetitious and automated, isn't it, by definition?
Yeah.
And what's more expensive about it, me sitting in my office at 34 Golders Green Road, NW11 8LL, www.dreamviewestates.co.uk, got to get an advert in your office at Normie & Co, and the address I don't know nor the telephone number, but I give you an address because I love your little cartoons. I think they're great that you do.
Thank you.
But what's the difference, the cost that you spend to put a property on the internet than it cost me? Zilch. No difference at all. Other than the cost I've got to do it, and that shouldn't involve Rightmove. It's more expensive for me to list the property for exactly the reasons you suggested.
Yep.
It doesn't cost me any more to print my paper in Tally's Paul Quick Kentish Town, another advert there for you, Tally, than it does you and your Paul Quick Bureau up where you are, you know, does it? So why should it cost more?
And that is the, you know, that's the point. So I think this comes back to what we expect now from Rightmoves and from the portals going forward, is that we want a bit of transparency, and we want to come away from that. I would understand that if I was in Rob Sargent's shoes and I had 35 branches, I would expect a better figure. In the same way that if I walked into your Mercedes garage and I said, look, I'm taking 35 of these babies off you, and you were only taking 3, I'd get a better rate.
I'm not going to tell you how I know, but you know I'm very friendly with more than just the independents in my high street.
Yeah.
I've been at a bar mitzvah of one of the chains. Let's put it that way. A bar mitzvah, you know what a bar mitzvah is, Simon?
You do, yeah.
Good. So one of the sons of one of the directors of one of the chains, we play golf. We do lots of joint sole agencies together. I know categorically that that chain in my high street pays less per month than we do for the same thing. Now, I think I can understand that because you made the simile. 35 Mercedes, you'll get a discount. We lease them. I'm very friendly with the leasing manager of the Mercedes company that I deal with. And yeah, we get a discount because we turn them over. Why don't we do that? Because we're only one independent office. Is that fair? That I think I could probably live with. You know what?
Yeah.
I don't think I'd have a problem. If Normie & Co. was a 70 office chain, you got a lot more properties out there. Yeah, you should pay a bit more for because the same applied with the size of the advert you took in the Hendon Times all those years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
Murray, you know what you need to do is you need to go on a website like, I don't know, sort of Kerfuffle, whereby you collectively get the benefit of teaming up with other agents. That's what you want to do.
Well, I don't know what Kerfuffle does. I know about the humour.
You know what? That's probably what almost everyone. I recognise the pink, but I have no idea what it.
Because I didn't know who you were until recently, and David may have seen David on Facebook, and the pink stands out. That's for sure. Will it stand out as a website? I don't know about that. As a portal, maybe it will. Maybe pink's the new colour, you know. Pink's the new black.
It absolutely is. I had a look at the Wigwam site as you were talking about on my website. If you think that's pink.
So, but just to go back to the impasse, if you like, because this really is the reason we're talking to you today. So we've got a very detailed history, and do you know what, Murray? It's always a pleasure. And I honestly, I would pay to listen to you tell your history and the people that you know, and I think it's fascinating. But because you're clearly very passionate about agency still.
You saw me on the interview with Chris, the full interview, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. I saw that.
Now people are coming to me for Yiddish lessons.
But before I let you go to eat your chicken soup, because it's a Friday, but let me cut to it. We've now got a situation whereby these different groups have obviously galvanized support. Now I'm reading the posts every single day, and you have got various different agents with different attitudes. One of them was extremely interesting. There was a lady that posted on there the other day, and she said, look, you know, this is like when a customer comes to an agent and they say, look, you're not worth the fee that we're paying you. You know, you should be cheaper. I can get it cheaper down the road. Why should? And she was trying to sort of, using that analogy, she was trying to flip it on its head. And
devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate. She was turning around to these agents and saying, look, you know, is it really, it comes down to, is it price? Is it attitude? What is it that you're looking for? And if you read the comments on her post and all the others, there's so much difference of opinion that it's very hard to find a united way through it. And in many ways, if we were all members of the same society, so if we were all members of the NAEA, what would happen is we'd have a majority vote and we'd go with that.
Yeah.
But you haven't got that, have you, Murray?
No. Okay, but that's where we are at this very moment. And I don't want to give too much away because I can't, because it's not all confirmed. But the four of us came together with a view to doing that. I sat there that Friday, 3-4 weeks ago, and thought to myself, this is daft. State Agency Union Group, Boycott Rightmove, Revolution 2020, and Say No. We're all saying the same thing. So let's come together. That's what we've agreed to do. The 4 groups are now saying the same thing, which is we need to get Rightmove to come into line. We need to get the fees down, and with enough behind us, and not everybody will, I know that, I'm too long in the tooth to not realise that most or some will come off, and I don't care whether it's only the 3,000 that we're at now. They will lose, and they have lost a chunk of their membership. That has to hurt in some way. I understand they've got £78 million sloshing around in a bank somewhere. Maybe they've got a bit less of it now at 75% times 3 times 18,000 members that they've got on their books. But the plan is to bring the agents together. I liked estate agency union. To me, that sounded like what we wanted to do. Unfortunately, with Facebook, you can't merge things for some reason that I best don't understand. So we've been left with 3 splintered groups. We're looking at finding the right name to call ourselves something together, which we will be. And I think Rob will be the spokesman, not because he's the poster boy, not because of anything else, but because he's already got that traction. Me, because I talk too much and for too long. I don't know Simon and David well enough to understand their genre, but they'd be just as good. But Rob's the man. He's got the traction. He knows what to do, and he's got the time to do it, as far as I can understand. He's put 6 people in his PR department behind this.
Wow. Okay,
yeah.
so that's a serious
without a penny.
Okay, but Murray, let me ask you another question. I think Chris had probably already asked this, but in terms of, let's say 3,000 agents do leave Rightmove, how many agents are we talking about globally in the UK?
18 to 19,000.
18 to 19,000. So 3,000 leaving would give Rightmove inevitably a bloody nose.
Yes.
And a very expensive bloody nose for them. But ultimately, is that enough for them to walk away from it?
No. And that's going to be the crescendo. Boris has been talking about when we reach the peak. Bless him, I hope it's happened now, because if not, we've got some real shit coming our way, excuse me. That's when we're going to reach our crescendo, and I'm open. I've said this before. You've read it. I've written it. I will. My partner would love us not to be on Rightmove. He said from day one, when it was about £900 7 years ago, why are we spending £900? Why? He's not an estate agent. He's a property person, not an estate agent. You may or may not know who my partner is.
I think I do, yeah.
If I come off Rightmove, I will save myself not £1,200 a month, £1,600 a month. If I don't do 2 sales, 3 sales, well, okay, that's about even, I would say, in my area. I will walk. We will walk, and the people in my local clique will walk as well. We may not walk everybody because we've got 2 franchisees, one of whom I've mentioned I'm friendly with. He won't be able to leave. It's not in his direction. He gets told, that's what you do. I do know that franchise is in conversation. The other franchise is much more dogmatic, and he'll decide what he wants to do. But he was behind this from the start. So maybe if we do leave, he will leave as well. I don't know. If they all are looking at money saving, which I think they are, they will go. Can we expand that? Yet to be proven. I understand since the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse, got it right the first time, interview went out, and the outtakes, which were even funnier, the movement gained traction again. And from what I'm hearing, the numbers picked up again, and it's cyclical. So I think we'll find when we do come back to them and say, this is what we're going to do. Rob's very good. His PR goes out every couple of weeks. There's going to be a group of agents with one name, whether it's going to be a board, or whether it's going to be a committee, or whether it's going to be a pay and play, or whatever it may be. There will be. We haven't decided that yet, because it may just be simply we don't need to pay for anything. It's all out there. We can stick up a website, stick it on Facebook, and we all belong to it. And that's the point. Sorry.
Question. Are Rightmove talking to you at the moment?
No.
So there's no communication back to any of 4 groups?
You saw what came out yesterday. I mean, if anyone could shoot themselves more in the foot than Rightmove, couldn't they do it? I can't remember now. I've been posting them 1, 2, 3 after the other. They had their AGM where no one was invited, and it wasn't online. Honestly, there were 2 or 3. I put it on my own Facebook page. There were 2, 1, 2, 3 within minutes of each other. Yeah. And then yesterday, the catcher was they came out with, this is what we're going to do when you all come back to work. We're going to give you lots of webinars and lots of this and lots of that and lots of the other. If they blow any more smoke up my backside, it will come out of my mouth. It's ridiculous. They need to come back to the table and say, what can we do for you boys? What's going to get you happy? What's going to make it? And of course, the first thing will be...
Don't worry, nobody's reached out. Nobody's talking at all. They've just left it there.
Rob is talking to them. That's not a secret. He's talking to them. What he's saying to them exactly is what he's told them to me, is that they need to get their act together. And I don't think they've listened. I was wondering if they were waiting for the AGM to come about because they couldn't do anything before because of the share prices. Now it's over, and then they released that BOLLOCKS that came out the other day. Who cares? Come back to me with a decent package that I can pay. Get in line with Zoopla. You don't do anything better than they do. You don't bring us that much more. You can bounce around the statistics as long as you like. I told you perhaps before when we started, they come in, they flip open their laptop, they show me loads of pie charts. I'd rather have a shepherd's pie. They're meaningless to me. I don't care about how many people saw my website. I care about down here, the bottom line. And I know one thing, and I've learned this over many, many years. It's not how much you spend. Sorry, it's not how little you spend, it's how much you make. That's the key. And you don't need to spend loads of money to make. I've got 4 people in my office.
Yeah.
We make money.
Yeah. Yeah. So obviously this is an open invitation for Rightmove to continue communicating with you.
100%.
Yeah. And in terms of Zoopla, you've got as far as you possibly can with them right now.
Yeah. We're having another conversation next Friday just to keep, we haven't spoken. I think they're still doing what they're doing. I'm not that involved with them, but we're happy with the package that we've got. And the agents that I didn't tell you, actually, when the Rightmove discount came in, and not before the Zoopla one, someone phoned me up, and I don't remember exactly where it's from. He actually phoned me, and I've had lots of emails, by the way, as well. And he thanked me personally for saving some of his staff's jobs.
Wow.
That's how bottom line it was.
Okay.
So I'm very grateful for that person who I forget for the moment, and I hope you'll understand if he watches this. I think with Zoopla, we've got a line in the sand that we're happy enough that we're both sides of it and it's working for us. Yeah. On the market are doing their thing, and bless them, I think they'll try, and I hope they did come out with that very confusing offer with shares, no shares, on market, off the market. This too confusing for me. Give us a package deal and promote us as hard as we can. My view is, and down to me personally, nothing to do with Rob, nothing to do with Trevor Abramson, that on the market will be the next natural port in the storm if people come off Rightmove and they're not on the market already. It makes sense. It's there. It's working. Whether any more of these 25 or 30 portals grab traction is to be seen.
Okay. That's interesting. So, Murray, before we free you up to go and do whatever it is you're doing today.
Let me tell you what that is yet.
I would like you to tell us. Go on.
So, how long you got? About...
Well, this was my question. You are, and I've always known this, you're always busy. I can't remember you sitting still for a second.
I don't.
In fact, I got tired just watching you sometimes.
Simon, do you know something? 47 years in the business, I don't have a secretary.
He can't be tamed. He can't be tamed. The closest he ever came, there was a lady that used to sit behind you called Nina.
Yes.
And long-suffering Nina. My God, what she put up with, Murray.
But I didn't pass anything to her. That other gentleman in the business did. I started using WordPerfect when Douglas Martins first had a computer. I self-taught myself, and I thought to myself, and this is going to sound terrible because my wife does admin now, by the time I've told them what I want to do, I can do it myself. I'm in my office most mornings about 7 o'clock. Properties uploaded, accounts done, ready for the day, details done. Don't do the photographs anymore. We sub that out to someone called Spec, who I find are very, very good. I upload the properties, I offer the properties, I do the viewings, I negotiate the sales, I run the sales through from A to B to Z. This is on 24/7. Don't quite go to sleep with it. But
he writes the theme tune, he sings the theme tune, he does it all.
Nobody does it better, that's for sure. So when all this went belly up and we weren't going to be estate agents, and we're still trying to do a little bit at Dreamview remotely, and we've gone into the office but have the office closed because of keys and money and so on and so forth, and we've got an open office in a high street, and I believe we were essential, especially the first day the guy who got locked out with his keys and he couldn't get back into his flat. That by the by. I live in a very small road here in Bushy, 50 odd houses, and oddly enough I'm chairman of the Residents Association. We have a 50-person WhatsApp group, and I posted on the group, anybody needs shopping, I'm having to do essential journeys, I'll go and get your eggs and your bacon and your bread. I then transferred that into, you know what, people aren't going to be able to get out to get Easter eggs for their kids. So I put on there, I set up a Just Giving page. I will buy the Easter eggs at my expense. I did a deal with Lidl's. and I will circulate the Easter eggs around our street to anybody who wants them, but you've got to put the equivalent amount onto a Just Giving page for NHS. I thought, you know what, doesn't stop there. I put it on Facebook. It expanded. I had chickens everywhere. I had rabbits everywhere. I must have given out something like 100 Easter eggs and bunny rabbits. I've made, up until about 2-3 weeks, about £1,600. I then ran it again for VE Day this week. We're now at £2,036. That's one thing. And if you see the website, it's Just Giving Murray Lee. Please, please pledge £1 or £2, or you can't do less than £2. Anything helps. It's for the NHS. It's a good cause. Historically, I did a hospital radio site at Watford General Hospital on a Friday night from 8 to 10, the Nearly the Weekend show. I have a very avid group of listeners. We go as far as San Francisco, Hiroshima, Finland, and South Africa. That I now do from home on Periscope. Watch me tonight, 8 o'clock live from this same bedroom. I joined You Donate, We Deliver. What do? Fantastic group of girls. They got together, and boys. They got together. It's a logistics nightmare. They pull in fresh food and so on and so forth. They then distribute it out to hospitals as ready meals made by every Tom, Dick and Harry. Please have a look. You Donate, We Deliver. It's beyond unbelievable. 2 days ago, I did Bushy, Boreham Wood, Mill Hill, Boreham Wood, Bedford and Luton, 100 miles in one day. Today, I'm on another group called First Communities. I did shopping at 10 o'clock this morning for 3 self-isolated gentlemen and a lady. Delivered the shopping. My lovely wife came with through. You try doing shopping in Sainsbury's on 3 separate lists. It's bad enough trying to do off one. I think 2 of them got jam and 1 of them wanted honey, and I don't think anyone wanted that. Delivered back to their house. I'm back in Boreham Wood by 12 o'clock. Picked up the food, back in Watford and Shredders. And tonight, I'm doing this with you, and 8 o'clock tonight, I'm back on air again.
Do you know what? I don't know anybody who deserves a clap more than you, first of all. And
actually, I went out to put the rubbish out the other day and everybody was clapping. Why was that? I didn't put the rubbish out.
If I gave you the choice between a sizable discount at Rightmove or an MBE for all the work that you've done, which would you take?
Can we come back to you on that one?
Well, you heard it here first. Now, Murray, look, you are, as ever, an inspiration and there is so much that people can learn, because I think that we've been talking about this from the beginning, that the best agents are supporting their communities, and what you're showing is you're not just supporting the community you directly serve, which is Golders Green, because that would have the business come back. You're supporting the people that you live with, which is quite a way away. And therefore, there's nothing business-wise in it for you. You're doing.
Well, I don't know about that. I do have one of these buy books, and it goes everywhere with you. Oh, I didn't tell you. 2 more things. Last week, the You Donate, We Deliver had a charity auction online. A chap called Paul Vandermolen also does an online radio show on Facebook. They set up loads and loads of things for gifts for auctions. You bid for them. They've earned £50,000 or more by now. Wow. Hair on Broadway, which is a hairdresser's. Chinese takeaway, Indian takeaway, nails, whatever. I donated a free house or let, sale or let. If you constructed us between now when we go back and the end of 6 months, we would sell or let your house or property for free. Sadly, nobody took it. The minimum bid was £1,000. Clever bit of promotion there.
Just to prove that you can win at both things.
Yeah. Time to sign off now. Who is that masked man? Who is that masked man?
Murray Lee, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
And,
nice to meet you.
I'm going to go have a lie down now. I'm all murried out.
I told you. You only get one go at this. Murray, thank you very much. Have a great weekend. Stay healthy and keep fighting. We're as an industry, we're extremely grateful for everything that you do.
My pleasure. Perhaps we should do this again.
Yeah,
we will.
Next time we'll have another chat.
We'll check in.
Stay safe.
See you soon.
Together we are stronger. Agents unite.
See you.
Up the revolution.